Hey everyone, this is Snehal here. I'm co-founder and CEO of Outdo. And over the next 20-25 minutes, we'll be discussing how AI role plays are transforming sales coaching and how you can use AI role plays to ramp up your teams faster, to increase your win rates and achieve your revenue goals quicker. So let's get started. So last month I was at Dreamforce in San Francisco, and I met a lot of leaders over there, and a lot of them actually resonated with what we have actually read from Gartner reports recently. So over the last 2 years, the sales cycles have essentially elongated, right? The sales cycles have increased by about 50%, and this is across many enterprise sectors. And when we actually spoke with these leaders, the number one obstacle for this is not the prevailing business situation or difficult economic buyers, right? The number one obstacle which they highlight is the skill gaps. It's the sales readiness. And how does the sales readiness generally impact? We see that the sales managers, the sales people, the GTM teams are getting busier week on week, month on month, yet they are not hitting quotas. So from a recent Gartner report, about only about 40% or so actually reached their quota, right? So ideally, this number would have been around 65 to 70%, but this number has drastically reduced over the last 2 years, right? Why do this skill gaps, or why is there so much of impact on sales readiness over the last 2 years? A lot has to be attributed to the traditional form of coaching, right, which essentially is broken in today's times, right? The managers are getting busier day by day. In fact, when compared to last year, managers are handling 50% more tasks, right? So they are not able to align themselves to coach their teams. At the same time, the lot of traditional coaching essentially happens in classroom where you share some materials, right? It could be videos, it could be some course materials, it could be some offline sort of programs or guides that you share, right? So this sort of one size fits all approach doesn't work with everyone, right? A lot of sales team members, they need more sort of personal coaching which is in tune with the prevailing situation and how they are managing their sales, right? So it should be in tune with their strengths, it should be in tune with their weaknesses, it should be in tune with their personality and style, right? And a recent report indicates that if you give personalized coaching, the likelihood of achieving better performance increases by 17% for every hour of personalized coaching. And finally, um, traditional coaching, it doesn't stick, right? So a lot of learnings from this classrooms or boot camps are essentially forgotten in a month's time, right? The old habits or the old texts, they basically relapse, right? And we're back to the old ways. So this is a form of coaching which is now known to be not working, right? So what's the solution, right? And that's where AI role plays come in. Now just imagine if you could create a AI twin of your buyer or your customer, and your team could practice anytime, right? They could practice in the evening, in the morning, whenever they find time, when they are actually traveling to work and so on, right? And it's sort of a thing where you and not everyone needs to be present at one point and there is a structured program going on, right? The sellers, they can practice it whenever they have the need, right? Or they are actually practicing certain micro learning courses, or they are practicing certain modules which are in tune with their learning, right? So it's essentially based on the CRM data, how they are performing in their real calls, right? From their sales enablement data, right? What sort of responses they are getting. You can create very customized sort of role play agents, right? For in the moment coaching, for continuous coaching, focusing on essential skills, right? Which they lack or which they want to double down on, right? It could be objection handling, it could be closing, it could be pricing negotiation, and so on, right? So let's try to figure out how you can implement this coaching at scale on a continuous basis, right? So we are not talking of a single training over here, but a continuous process which is followed throughout the year. So let's work on a simple framework. So manager does a one-on-one role play. It could be, just after the hiring or after first evaluation of the candidate. The manager figures out two or three skills that they need to work on and creates few role plays, right? And then the seller or the GTM member, they practice on work on this role plays, and they get like instant feedback based on the scorecards. Again, this feedback is given by AI, and based on that feedback, certain guides are suggested, certain micro learning courses are suggested, certain call drills are suggested, which could again be role plays, right? Which the seller or the GTM member could practice again and again. And finally, you repeat the steps, right? You repeat the steps 1, 2, and 3 till you see a sort of behavior change, right? And this is a continuous process which can take over a month's time or over a quarter's time. In fact, some of the large enterprises that we have worked on, they create new role play agents once in a month, and they let the entire team just practice on that agent and just work on their strengths, weaknesses, different strategies, and just get better at it, right? So moving on to call drills, which is again a type of continuous coaching. But just imagine this scenario, right? Or imagine your best sports person out there, right? It could be LeBron James, it could be Tom Brady, right? They just don't practice on the game day, right? They practice um, throughout the day. They practice every day. They practice throughout the week, right? So imagine if you could actually schedule a sort of mock drill, a sort of let's call it a warm up call, right? Where a salesperson just practices calls for 15 minutes, right? And they get their tongue rolling and then they kick off their day, right? So this is a really good way to actually ensure that they are at the top of their game, they are warmed up, they're ready to get go in their first call itself, right? Now, how do you implement this? And that's where we come in. That's where Outdo AI comes in. We have helped customers to ramp up their teams. We have helped them to create role play agents, right? And these role play agents are not just created for a particular situation, but they evolve, right? As the trends shift, as the economic situation shifts, as the even the buying behavior shifts, right? And it's completely based on data, right? It's based on active feedback from your revenue intelligence tools, feedback from your regular practice sessions for role plays, right? And we have over 160 customers, enterprise customers from um, tech, from insurance, from even coaching consulting companies like Rain Group, right? We have customers from commercial real estate who have been using uh, Outdo for various scenarios, right? And I'll go deeper into this later on as we move forward. What are the key capabilities? What should be the key capabilities of a, let's say, AI role play and a modern AI coaching tool, right? So we have listed few important capabilities that you should look for and which we have been focusing on at Outdo, right? The first is the ability to create AI buyer twins. Now, of course, you can basically use your chat GPT, you can use your Gemini to create some sort of maybe chat bots, or you could create even some voice agents using some tools. But you when you are actually creating for enterprises or implementing such a AI role play or coaching module at your enterprise company, you want to be sure that you can tune it to T, right? You can tune it to nth level. You need to have complete control over the agent, how it behaves during different scenarios. You need to have guardrails in place. You need to be able to iterate and create these role play agents quickly, and this is what we call AI buyer twins, right? So with Outdo, you can create role play agents in numerous ways, right? So you can upload a call and it will automatically create a role play agent, right? You can connect your revenue intelligence tool, be it Gong, Clary, Avoma, and it will automatically fetch the call and then it will create a role play agent. You can create a role play agent just by writing a prompt, right? Or you can use one of the templates that we have and create custom role play agents of your own, right? So you need to be able to tune different scenarios. We have even gone deeper and added a background environment, right? If imagine if the buyer is actually sitting in a cafe, or the driver, or let's say the buyer is basically driving to work, right? So you can simulate these different environments in just one click in Outdo, right? Further, there are scenarios where gatekeepers are involved. For example, the secretary picks up the call, right, or a personal assistant picks up the call and then forwards it to the buyer, right? So even those situations and scenarios can be simulated in one click in Outdo. Now coming to the coaching part, so the second biggest important point that you need to look for in a tool, apart from creating the role play agent, is the coaching scorecard and feedback, right? And this feedback needs to be instant, it has to be detailed, it needs to have a certain nuance, and it needs to be very specific and not generic. Again, we have been working on this for over a year and a half, and we have been able to create configurations, right, and create customizations that you can go to 3 4 levels of depth to actually suggest, to recommend, and to give very specific feedback, right? And based on this feedbacks, you can actually create call drills, you can create call blitzes and so on, right? So as to um, give the opportunity to the seller to learn, to practice, and then grow. Now coming to micro learning, so a lot of let's say role play tools or the role play you might create on ChatGPT might simulate the entire call, but there are instances where you just want to focus on a particular aspect, right? It could be a particular skill gap, it could be let's say product knowledge gap or product training understanding that you want to practice with, right? So with Outdo, it's very easy to figure out what are the gaps in terms of product training, in terms of skills, and then you could recommend certain micro learning sort of role plays where only those parts of the call, right, or only those skills are actually tested, right? Further, you could create courses and you could export this to your LMS using SCOM. So we have SCOM compatibility. You can download the SCOM package and just upload it to your LMS, any LMS that you use, right? Be it Talent LMS, be it Blackboard, Cornerstone, and so on, right? So you can automatically push these courses to your LMS so that your team can seamlessly practice or learn or train themselves on a single platform, and that's your LMS, right? So they need not log in into multiple platforms and then switch between tabs and apps, right? No need to do that. It's all seamless, and it's really a requested feature by enterprises. Now, one important feature is, the role plays need not be just voice agents, right? They could be chats, they could be videos, and so on. So, in just a simple click and switch, you can convert an existing role play agent from chat to video and video to audio, right? And you can add, different simulations, background noises, With video, you can even track the eye contact. You can track the body language. You can track whether they are wearing the right attire and behaving professionally and so on, right? So these are few sort of capabilities which a lot of companies generally look for, especially those who are actually targeting the B2C market, right? Some examples would be companies in finance, right? Credit unions, insurance, banking. It could be in retail sector, right? In real estate, commercial real estate in particular, and so on, right? So now, what are the role plays we are talking about, right? Of course, there are traditional role play tools out there which have been there for some time, but they are siloed. They give you limited analytics. But here we are talking of a completely modern AI role play platform, right? Which is multi-mode, adaptive. You can learn on the go, right? Whether you're using iPhone or Android, you could just practice in the app itself. You have agents that give you instant feedback. You can practice seamlessly in your LMS, and there is a sufficient ability to scale it, personalize it, and so on, right? And it all this is done seamlessly without much effort from your sales enablement, from your sales leadership team, right? Now, we have been doing this for the past year and a half, and we have got some tremendous results. In fact, one of the healthcare companies, Allied Health, which is a combination of healthcare and insurance sort of company, they have seen a reduction of ramp up time by 33% in just 2 months, right? And we are progressively working to improve and create impact. So when you help, GTM teams reduce their ramp up time, of course, these sellers, they learn better. They can perform better in the actual calls in the scenario, so that improves their win rates. Further, it gives you more selling time, right? You can ramp up other members faster, right? So it works both ways, to increase more selling time and improve the win rates as well, right? So this is what I was talking earlier about. Like, there are different sort of sector wise use cases for AI role plays. So some of the enterprise tech companies like Replicate that we are working with, we help their reps, their new joinees, to learn about the technical nuances, the product nuances faster, right? So tech is moving at a crazy fast pace. You want your team, your GTM teams, to know about the important points, right? So that they appear confident all the time. Now, coming to insurance. So insurance is a sector which is compliance heavy, right? You have changes in regulations, almost quarterly, right? If not half yearly. So you need to ensure that your team is aware of the important aspects, right? So that they take their members, their users, through the entire process correctly, right? And finally, real estate. Again, real estate, you require some sort of certification. You require some certain types of training, and this use case is for offline, and AI role plays is something that is applicable for both, selling digitally, via Zoom, Google phone, via your dialers, and so on, and also for the offline scenario. So real estate, be it retail, right, where your teams can just practice, especially using the video role play. They can practice with the customer, and they can practice with the AI twin of the customer, and then replicate it with the actual customer, right? Now, again, reiterating, right? Sellers, GTM members who get clear guidance, right? Who get personalized sort of coaching, they are three times more likely to attain quota. Now, I want to leave you with a very important sort of an action plan that you can go ahead and implement it from the coming week onwards, right? So, what do you do from Monday morning, right? So, the first thing when you are trying to implement an AI role play, AI coaching sort of a solution, is to first figure out, what are the essential skills that you need to work on. Communicate it with your team that, this is essentially for practice, and you would not be judging them, or it's not connected to your performance incentives and so on, right? This is essentially for practice. This is important to create a healthy sort of a competitive environment, right, in your team, right? The next thing that you need to focus on is let your team practice on one or two role plays over the quarter, right? So they could practice 3 times a week. Ideally, that's what we recommend. Practice generally for 15-20 minutes, which is a good enough time every week. And basically try to improve themselves, right? Also give feedback to you, whether what changes they need to make to the role play agent, right? Try to create a healthy competitive sort of a environment. Try to communicate like how it can be improved further, right? Further, the managers can track how are the team members taking it, right? Do you need monthly sort of role plays, or do you need a frequency which is generally weekly or in fact daily, right? And over the next 12 years, you need to, of course, tune the role plays, get into courses and call drills, and tune it to your sales enablement program, right? Tune it to your product launches, tune it to the compliances changes which keep on happening in your sector, so and so on. You need to also check on the ROI bit, right? How is how is AI roleplay generally impacting? Are you able to see a ramp up impact? Are you able to see a win rate impact? And these things will essentially be clear in a year's time frame, right? Further, again, take active feedback about the role plays, about the call drills, about the courses, and try to figure ways to improve, right? So I am happy to share this action plan with you. So you could, of course, reach out to me, and there is this link to the presentation. So you can just click on the link, or you could scan the QR and basically just download the presentation right away, right? I have another interesting enablement article which we recently worked on. So it highlights how coaching and how let's say enablement and training and onboarding is going to get impacted with AI and AI agents in particular. So we have a very detailed guide. It also goes into the nuances of how do you measure performance, right? How do you create a continuous coaching, just in time coaching sort of a culture at your company, right? So again, you can just scan the QR code and basically access this resource. Fine. So that's it. What we'll do is we'll take up a few questions from the listeners and the viewers, and we'll just wait for a moment. Okay, so I see a few questions which have come. Let me just go through them one by one. Right. Okay. So the first question is, first of all, thanks for sharing these questions. So the first question is, how do I ensure privacy in uploaded calls apart from ramp? Okay. So the question essentially revolves around privacy. Now, as I mentioned, we have worked with companies in insurance, in healthcare sector, right? And you have to be very careful about the data which is being shared, right? So the first thing is, we follow, we are SOC compliant, we are GDPR compliant, so we ensure all compliances are in place. The second thing, whenever you upload a call or a call recording or even a transcript, our tool first scrubs the transcript and the video audio recordings of any PII data, any credit card related data, and so on, right? And it replaces that with blank pauses or blank data, right? So none of your customer data is getting into a platform or getting stored in out to, right, any which way. So it's not never going to happen. The second thing is, the data is siloed. It's you can have private cloud storage and so on. So this ensures that the data is secure and you have the complete control of the data which is being stored, right? I'll go to the next question, right? what impact do customers see with AI role play? So again, yeah, so this is again a very a very important question, I would say. But I've highlighted that, there are few things which you would see right away. The first is impact in terms of your ramp up time. So your GTM members, customer facing members, sellers would be learning things faster. So ideally, what was taking probably 8 weeks to ramp up your team would essentially come down by 30 to 50%, right? So that's the first impact. The second impact is, right now the managers were spending a lot of their own time, right? And managers, as I mentioned, right, are getting busier day by day, right? Now the managers can just oversee things, right? The sellers, they can practice anytime with that, with the role play agent. So your managers need not shadow, your managers need not be there all the time. Just imagine if a manager has like 10 sellers, or is working with 10 sellers, they have to practice at least 20 or so role plays every week at least, right? And even that would not give you the right sort of ramp up, right? So you with AI role plays, it's you can set a process, you can set some sort of automations in your process, and it essentially saves manager time. And ultimately, this all boils down to your win rates, it boils to your revenue productivity, right? So you would see an uptick in your revenue numbers, finally help you achieve your revenue goals quicker, right? I'll move to the next question. Can I add it to Doshibo? Okay. So as I mentioned, our AI roleplay solution, it connects with your LMS, and we are SCOM compatible. So you can just download a SCOM package and upload it to your LMS, be it Blackboard, Cornerstone, or Doshibo, right? Okay, what's the pricing like? So we did not discuss pricing over here, but I've so here's the QR code, and what you can do is you can reach out to me, and we would like you to give a very personalized demo and then go understand your use cases. There are some nuances to it, so we can understand the use cases and so on, and then we can share pricing based on that, right? And we'll ensure that you get the best price, right? So it helps us to deliver the maximum value, right? Can I do any number of role plays? Yeah. Okay, so there's no limit on the role plays. That so our pricing essentially is based on the number of users, number of seats, and we give you unlimited role plays. Of course, nobody can do unlimited role plays, so you can practice as much as you can, right? Your team can practice as much as you can. There are no limits to that. Do we do partnering or white labeling? Yeah, so we are happy to partner, right? We in fact we have partnered recently with Rain Group, and we are also partnering with few established coaching companies in finance, in real estate sectors. So we can talk about partnering and then maybe go further into the details, into different use cases, different how do we work with customers, how do we work with your customers, and so on, right? So we can discuss that over call. Fine, I'll just wait a moment for a few more questions. uh, I think we are good here. So again, thanks everyone for joining in, right? I hope you got few insights that you could take away. Happy to share the action plan on how you can implement AI role plays, how you can implement AI coaching at your organization. Thank you.